on my browser, and I just heard Charles, and I was like, "We're in trouble. What did we do?" Like the voice of Charles. What is Charles trying to say?
Oh no. It is
Like
startling.
it was just like because it plays that auto video, and I just wasn't ready for it.
It's really just getting us warmed up for the intro videos throwing us off again.
Yeah.
Is really
No, we're gonna be so good tonight. Everything is gonna be so on point, so well done.
I'm gonna remember to outro myself. That's gonna
Mhm.
be good. Say who I am.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be good.
It's gonna be great.
There it is. All right.
It's gonna be good. Good, 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 good.
Also, I went and downloaded just like an app essentially, but for my computer to help manage the settings of my camera so that it no longer is white balancing off of my face, which I'm very happy about because I look a little bit more human now, which makes me happy. So yeah, that was fun.
That's awesome.
Like holding up a white sheet of paper next to me would kind of pull it over, but as soon as I put that off screen, it would be like, "Oh no, we've got white." I'm like, "I hate you. I hate you. It's fine."
That is not anything I've ever had to deal with.
So fun.
Yeah. I was so happy to get this new camera. We upgraded cameras this summer, and just the color balance on this compared to the webcam I was using is like, oh, it's just so nice. It's
Yeah.
amazing. What's up, Stealth King? Raging Lady Boner.
I love it so much.
Me too. I'm just gonna call out everything that she says in chat just so that I can say, and Lady Raging. Oh, tonight's doing so good so far. Ooh, Raging Lady Boner. So,
There it is.
there it is. Killing it. Killing it and killing it and killing it good.
Don't give me that power.
Raging Lady Boner in chat says, "Don't give me that power."
Well, I mean, I'm still like, she threw out some relatively innocent questions into the stream on Friday, but boy, did it go into like, here's some super deep psychology on a swan named Emily, in case you wanted to know.
Oh, is that the when you were talking about dance?
Yeah. It just cracked me up. So I'm like, oh, body issues. Yeah, let's do it. Let's just dive. Oh.
There's a new light on. We've been keeping the lights off all day because we're trying to ease up the so everyone watching, there is a chance I might disappear at some point if our power goes out. They've been doing rolling brownouts all over Texas, and we have not been rolled yet. So
I feel like if we get the rights to it, we should play the Thunder Rolls song by, who is it? Garth Brooks?
Thunder.
Oh, normally I would do that, but that's the song they did at the end of our workout today, and every time they sang Thunder, you had to do a burpee. So I'm mad at that song right now because they say Thunder a lot.
Thunder.
Like, oh God, no.
No. I think burpees are the cruelest thing that this world has ever done.
They're so bad. They're so bad.
What is the sing me a song, Garth Brooks? What's the Garth Brooks Thunder song?
Oh, I can't sing it. I don't sing. The main chorus is like, and the thunder rolls. Let me see if I can.
Yeehaw, the thunder rolls across my pickup truck. Yeehaw, my hunger grows.
I like that version. Also, that one's not going to get us bounced by Twitch. I am going to check that out, Stealth King, because I like All That Remains. So that's dope. So, yes. My current kick right now is because of TikTok by way of Instagram Reels. So, internet, sure. It's a mashup of Ed Sheeran, Shape of You with Disturbed, Down with the Sickness. And it's right in my happy little, like, what is happening? But I love it. So, that was my prep earlier. It's like, this is a weird mashup. I am
That's
here for
awesome.
it. Yes. All right. I'm going to write that.
Welcome, everybody. Hope you're all staying warm. There is a lot of the country that is very cold right now.
Funny you mentioned it. Raging Lady Boner says that I feel like I'm the only one in the only part of the country that doesn't have snow right now. Yeah, I've got snow. I've got winter weather advisory through tomorrow. So again, we shouldn't lose power. But hey, if I disappear, there's a chance that we lost power too. So
yeah, if this stream just goes out, know that we love you and it wasn't our intention.
It's gonna make editing for Charles a real fun.
Right? Just, hey, what happened here?
Well, you got half. Do you want us to keep talking? Do you want to just outro? What would you like?
Well, Charles, yeah, but I say let's roll with it while we have power. Let's just
do it.
Get started.
All right.
Thunder.
Hey, Trash Pandas, you're listening to An Edition with your adequately perfect hosts, Emily Swan and Stephanie Crugnola.
Hey, welcome to An Edition with Swan and Steph. It's me, Steph. I am so excited to have remembered to do an introduction. So we are An Edition, the sister podcast to Almost Daily Discourse. You can find me and Swan here on twitch.tv/almostdailypod, the first and third Monday of every month. You can find the boys on the same place on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. Those of you listening on podcatchers, we are live right now. And we've got a lot of folks here in chat with us. So if you're free on a first or third Monday night or any Wednesday, hop on by because it's a really fun time. And those of you watching on Twitch, go ahead and give us a little like. Give us a little like. Give us a follow. You can find us on the internet at our social media handles. I don't know them.
Yeah. Look for An Edition. Look for Almost Daily Pod. The boys are weird with their social, so we try.
They're on Instagram.
Yeah, they are on Instagram. I think they've got two posts now. So
yeah, the Valentine's Day post yesterday.
Yeah, well, you gotta send love for the Sheets dogs. So if you want to know more of what we're talking about, check out Almost Daily Discord every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. All right. So speaking of social media,
I thought you were celebrities, and I was like, would we call them celebrities?
Would we call them celebrities? I would. You know what? They are celebrities in my heart.
Oh. I mean, shout out to you, Rock God of Pod.
How can you, like, if you try to tell me that the rock god of podcasting is not a celebrity, don't try to tell me anything else because I'll be walking away from your butt. Our first topic for today is celebrity social media. So who do you follow and why? And this, when I jumped on to ADD last Wednesday, was going to be the topic that I had up. It was kind of a last minute pull. And then the more I thought about it, I really like it. I think it's knowing like who you follow for businesses, for celebrities, for teams, sports teams, anything like that. Like why do you follow those accounts? What do they bring you in your life? Like as you're scrolling, like what's the joy that you get from following these people? So I don't know if you want to take us away or if you want me to start it off.
You can start. Because now I'm very, very curious. And I think there's a very good chance that your list is going to be a little bit more well-formed than mine. But I did have reasons for all of them. So,
so I don't have a definitive list. But I think the first account that I want to show some, we're doing a lot of love today. I follow Ted Lasso on Twitter.
Yay!
And he is at Ted Lasso, I think. But if you all haven't watched the TV show Ted Lasso, it is the best. It is honestly, like, if I had to choose a top 2 television shows of all time, my whole life, it would be Lost and Ted Lasso.
Okay.
Like, that's how much I loved this show. Yeah, it's just the most wholesome and amazing. I cried so many times, like, of good things and sad things and beautiful things. Like, it's just amazing. But Ted Lasso is a coach, like an American football coach who gets hired to coach an English soccer team, an English Premier League team. So it's just full of like optimism and inspiration and little Ted Lasso-isms on his Twitter. It's just nice.
Aw, I love
Yeah, it's a little boost for your day. Mostly I follow Shakespeare stuff. Surprise. But like I follow the Globe. I follow a lot of kind of the major theaters to see what they're up to and what they're doing. And that's I guess we should define celebrity, because this is something Mike and I have had words over. We have had words mostly no, and he's totally right. Like the idea of notoriety or like fame is different from intersection of niche subject. So like someone I follow who is like one of the biggest Shakespeare scholars in the world and has like the majority of Shakespeare books out there, like he also doesn't have a blue check next to his name. So Mike's like, he's not a celebrity. But also, if I say his name to like a normal person, they're going to be like, the who?
Yep.
And so the idea of what celebrity means, or like who counts as a celebrity, I think we can be a little loose with. But like, what does that term mean to you?
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because that was, of course, as soon as I read this topic, my mind goes immediately blank and I'll be like, I don't know who anyone is. I have to now go to my Twitter and my Instagram and who do I follow? And their posts every day, but I'm just like, I remember nothing. But that was my thought, because it's the exact same thing. Like there are comic book artists, writers, amazing artists who are well known, but it's the same thing. Like I could say these names to people and they're like, who? I'm like, oh, like it was this really, really big deal when I talked to him at Comic-Con, but if you aren't in that niche, then you don't know. And I don't think in any way diminishes their reach. But for this, I was really trying to focus on notoriety across my interest field.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty much how I took it as well, obviously.
If I could say a name to my parents and give them it's this person from this, and they'd understand, then I counted that as, I'm like, that's probably celebrity enough to count for the topic.
Like I follow all of the Queer Eye guys.
Yeah.
All of them. They're all amazing. So those I think are celebrities. Like I think even if you have to caveat, like if you say, oh yeah, I follow Caramel Brown, and nobody know, like from Queer Eye, like I think that just that if you give an additional tag, and like Mike says, like celebrity, fame, and talent are 3 very different things. And his argument is totally valid, but like I also love yelling. So if he's got a hard stance, and like we do that all the time, like in our Discord, like he'll choose a hard stance and I'll choose the opposite stance and we'll just yell about it. And it's fun. It's a fun game.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Speaking of, he's got a whole thing that I didn't fully read. So there's an awesome Mike Birbiglia quote about this from one of his specials, talking about how he sells out all these theaters, but he's like, I guarantee you, if you told someone you were coming to this show tonight, they said, who? Yeah, no, exactly that. Also, this is a total sidebar thing, but I loved the fact that recently there was a female Twitch streamer who came under some nasty chatter in her stream, and she called out a great Mike Birbiglia quote and like tagged him. And I loved his response on Twitter because it was literally like, I'm just happy to be involved. And I was like, that's the most precious response to this incredibly well-formed thing that you had said in your stand-up. So yeah, that was, again, using celebrity right.
Yeah. No, I love that. So a lot of times I will follow celebrities because I've tagged them in something for the podcast. And I feel like it's rude to tag someone in something if you don't follow them.
Yes.
Which is like such a weird, like, I don't know, like that's just something like in my own brain. Like, it's not like there's no rule. They're not going to notice. They're not going to notice it anyway. But like, I feel like if I'm not following them, that's rude.
It feels weird. No, I'm completely with you. Like, if I'm going to draw a famous person and it's them, I'm going to tag them and I should be following them because clearly I'm a fan. Like, yeah, it's a weird like rule of the internet thing. I'm just like, I can't reach out to you if I don't follow you. Like, I don't know. I'm so sorry.
Not trying to be rude. But so I'm excited. I'm mostly excited to hear your answers on this because I imagine it's a lot of artists. And I think for Instagram, like having art in your feed would be such a nice thing. So like, who are some of the people that you...
Oh gosh, so that's funny because like I said, I went totally off from all of that. Yeah. So a lot of the artists that I start with come from the comic book industry, Comic-Con industry, and all of that. What's also neat about it, and I'm also being really, really general, I realize, but what's cool is a lot of the artists that I enjoy aren't artists based in the United States. So they are working comic book artists, but they're based all over the globe. So it's kind of, that's really the only way that I get to see their art. So the big one, like one of my favorite artists is Sarah Pichelli, and she lives in Italy. She started out working on Ultimate Spider-Man with Miles Morales. She did a series of offshoots. So one of the many X-Men books, she did a Pixie Strikes Back and Pixie brand new X-Men, but I really liked her and she did this little 5-part series. But again, like this random thing, she's blown up now. Like she's, again, huge in the comic book world. But it was one of those where I was like, oh, this is really dope. And aside from New York City or San Diego, she doesn't come to little cons, so I don't get to see her. So following her on those socials is really cool. Sean Gordon Murphy is another one, and I love him because he loves comic books as well as motorcycles, and he often draws motorcycles and cool badass ladies, and I'm like, these are all of the things that I like. Yes. And he's super nice in person, so I'm just like, yes, more follows. Yeah. But I mean, it's, and I'm also the weird person because I like having so much art in my feed. Like I realize as I scroll, like watch other people scroll through their Instagrams, I was like, but where's all your art? Like, I don't understand. I was like, mine's like art, meme, art. And I was like, oh, that's not what other people use it for, I guess. I was like, there's very few like photographs on my Instagram scroll. Like it's all digital or print art. But I'll go in with certain artists, and if they have like, if they're on Twitter, if they're on Instagram, if they're on Facebook, I will go and follow them on all three because I'm like, I like your stuff, and I don't want to, depending on what the algorithm's gonna do, I don't want to miss stuff. So that kind of lets it. Yeah. I'm sorry, Future X Skeleton. Yes, I will do my best to drop a whole bunch of really cool names into the show notes for this to give Charles more to copy and paste. To follow people. But yeah, especially on Twitter, I usually try and retweet people. It's obviously harder on Instagram, but yeah, so much art. So like as I'm scrolling through, I was like, nobody knows any of these names. No, hey, there's one that somebody will know. Oh.
So I think that's a really good kind of element of this too, is that like I don't follow any celebrities, I don't think, on Facebook. Like I have no idea, but like I've never like actively thought about it. Because I don't think Facebook is for that. Like for me, Facebook is for like friends and family. Instagram is for pictures, obviously. And like my celebrity following like is almost entirely on Twitter. There's some on Instagram, but only because I tagged them in podcast posts. So like again, I follow The Rock on Instagram.
Fun. It's just
But
fun.
like, yeah, that's pretty much it. So really it's Twitter for me is like the place where I actually follow celebrities.
Well, and I think what's fascinating about that is, so I was such a curmudgeon when it came to Twitter because I fought it. I fought joining. I fought like getting involved with it because I just couldn't handle like another social media at that
Mhm.
point. So many years ago. So it wasn't until, and I vividly remember like the turning point of it. And it was this incredible anthology that came out called Womanthology. And the whole book collection of all these amazing female creators totally started and came together on Twitter. And it blew my mind because all of a sudden, like, you were seeing all of these incredible indie art projects coming together on Twitter. And I'm like, well, shit, I guess I need to get on Twitter because comics are happening on Twitter.
Yeah.
And that was a weird, I was like, wait. We went to the written media to do the art stuff? All right.
But there's
Wow.
so much more. I think Twitter is a place for casual conversation with strangers so much more than any of the other mediums. Like Mike and I are pretty much Twitter hipsters. Because Anthony, our good pal Anthony, did not have a phone in college. So we all just chatted on Twitter. Like we used Twitter to be like our group chat, which is so wild looking back on. But that was like how we talked to each other.
Yeah.
Was on Twitter. And then I didn't use it for a very, very long period of time because Anthony got a phone. So that solved that problem. And then especially for like promotion and stuff, like getting into podcasts and all of that, I started using Twitter a lot more actively. And now it's just part of my like daily thing.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of I like Twitter. There's a lot of trash on Twitter, but like there's a lot of trash everywhere.
Yeah. It's really, and I find like as I cultivated different things and like certain places, and sometimes, and it was funny as you mentioned this, so a bunch of the pages I follow on Facebook are literally just ones devoted to either collecting funny things from Tumblr or funny things from Twitter. So I'm like, no, you did all the curating for me. Then if I want to go and follow this person, I can, but I don't have to like log through all of that. So that was kind of my workaround, and then eventually like start to throw out follows to Twitter. And part of it is, this sounds silly, but there is an incredible amount of information that can happen during a day. And there was no way I was going to keep up with it. So part of the like cultivating of my feeds was there are certain things I'm looking for and want to make sure I don't miss. And so I wouldn't always throw out follows because I just didn't want to clutter the feed. Which sounds,
No, it's absolutely true. I think that just from what I'm seeing in chat, it's mostly for promotion, mostly for podcasts, gaming, and then Sarah Michelle Gellar, which Elle Hanley, I think that's a good follow.
Well, and I think that's funny, and I know you and I, Steph, have talked about it with, there are times when I am completely aware of how useful social media is, especially for our projects. And it is such a pain in the butt because
exhausting.
It's not the same as creating. It's something totally, totally different. So, and I think that extends to my enjoyment of the social media that I consume, because I go there as an escape. So it's either I'm going there to work and I'm looking for work or looking for commissions or looking for projects, or I'm going there to read funny memes and look at pictures of cats. And so it's a very like, if I'm just going to waste time, great. But if I'm going to actually do work, like it's a different mindset. And I have to like sometimes force myself to be like, okay, we've got to make a post. We've got to tag stuff out because we have to get it out there.
Yep. It's a great tool. But it is definitely overwhelming.
It is.
Especially incredible. Having so many different.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say this was just funny to me as I was collecting some of them because the first two people who popped to mind were people that we've actually shouted out on this podcast before. So I was like, oh, who do I follow? Who do I really enjoy? Like pretty much everything they post, and it was David Tennant and Richard Armitage, and I was like, oh, like David Tennant's really fun, and a lot of time it's actually like his wife Georgia, and she's posting funny things about like what's happening.
Where? On what?
Facebook. I follow him on Facebook on his official like fan page. But I like they'll actually also like screen grab things from Instagram and put them on there. So yeah.
Because as far as I was aware, he's not on. But Hero is so needy tonight. I'm sorry. I think you can tell he hates the snow.
Same boy.
He's just not on social media. But maybe I'm wrong.
So
I've been missing out.
I think you are right. And I think that's why I started following some of the like celebrity fan pages type stuff, because they were collecting not only appearances that people were going to have, but also like I said, like stuff that Georgia would post about the Tennant family. And then that obviously leads into like, especially right now, all of the stuff between David Tennant and Michael Sheen.
Oh my God.
And like that stuff. And I was like, oh, that's happiness. Anytime that pops up on my I love it so much.
I love them. I love everything that they do. I love David Tennant so much. I'm mid like 10th Doctor rewatch, so I'm just really in David Tennant mode right now.
When I brought it up, I was like, well, of course. Like we've talked about it pretty much every time, I think. So we just got to bring it up again. But along those lines is someone like Neil Gaiman, who has a very like, I almost want to say like slow burn kind of social media presence. Mm-hmm. But then randomly he'll just be like, oh yeah, by the way, I decided to read this book and, you know, we did this thing and it's actually this super cool project. And I was like, dude, that's so cool. And you're just like, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I love it.
I follow a lot of authors. On Twitter. But like, and like I feel like I scan Twitter. I don't really read Twitter. Like I kind of scan through it rather than really spending time on it. So it's like it's hard to it's hard to like know really what I'm getting out of individual people because it all kind of muddles together into this.
Especially when you have really active people because they retweet a ton. So I see it by way of them, but it's not their content specifically. So that's an interesting like mishmash of things.
One thing that I do, I think maybe my favorite Instagram follow is the soccer team that Mike and I are fans of, Tottenham Hotspur. I follow them on Instagram. And what I love about their Instagram is that all of the players, I don't necessarily follow individual players, but all of their players comment on Spurs posts. And they comment on each other's posts. And so like the two players that I follow always have other comments from other players. And like, it's just, they love each other. Like they just, or at least their public personas do, because they're just like making inside jokes with each other on Instagram. And it's the reason I love that team, because they're such good hearts. And it's the reason that Ted Lasso was originally hired to coach the Spurs in 10 years ago, in like the sketch that they did that started the show. Obviously, like I'm still on a Ted Lasso kick, guys. Sorry. But like there's just so much love and joy there. And to see that in a sports team is like so heartwarming.
So I think that's a great point. And it is absolutely motivation for celebrities that I follow or anything like that. Like I go to have fun, to have a happy thing, to laugh about something, even if it's, you know, the Mike's favorite picture to send to me with the podcasting poster and you sitting next to them and like me and my friends. Mm-hmm. But to be, you know, to feel like you're in on the joke or in on their fun is a beautiful thing. And that's what I want. So like a lot of the people that I'm going to follow, and I was thinking about it, I was like, I've got Eddie Izzard, I've got Will Wheaton, I've got George Takei, like all of these people not only post a lot of fun, nerdy things, but it's usually either poignant social commentary, which I think is valid, or it's just fun, funny stuff. And that's what I want. I want that little bit of escapism, but also possibly like, I didn't think about that. Or now I need to learn more. So
it's fun to go through like your who I'm following page, because you'll see what you were clearly into at certain times. Like there's a chunk of time where when Queer Eye came back and I just followed all of the Queer Eye folks. There's a chunk when I was watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and followed, I know when Hadestown came out because I followed their show account. So like looking back through those little snippets of when you became a fan of something is kind of a fun, this is when I started playing D&D because I followed Critical Role, Adventure Zone.
Yep. Well, and I love it too because, and it's 100% to do with BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed will put together like, where are they now? Or like, Rob Lowe's kids dunking on him on Instagram and stuff like that. And so I follow a guy named Lane Toran, who has the most gorgeous hair I've ever seen. And it's just a very attractive man. He was the voice of Hey Arnold. I needed a voice on Recess. So like, he's the voice of my childhood, but also I'm like, you're very symmetrical, and I enjoy when you pop up on my feed, even though I have that moment where I'm like, who are you? Oh, right. But also, like, the kid who played Carp in the Mighty Ducks is also very symmetrical now. So as an adult, like, when they pop up, I'm just like, oh, hi.
That's so funny.
But again, like, random people, like, I'm not a huge, like, fan of their career, but it kind of made me happy just to have that little bit. Like, it's such a random thing. It's like, no, aw, yay, look at you and your dog. That's cute.
Yeah, no, I think that's it's fun to see kind of where those follows happen, and like the little bits of joy, like celebrities who are giving you like little slices of their life versus more impersonal commentary, like, and who kind of shares the way that we do on social media, even though they're celebrities. So I think it's fun to see where that line is between people who are using social media for PR and using social media for personal use or whatever.
Yeah, no, exactly. And again, I enjoy the podcast My Favorite Murder. Karen Kilgariff is a comedy act. She is a writer. She was a stand-up comedian. Like, so her Twitter is really funny. And it's funny because it keeps the same energy that she has on the show. And that's a very candid slice of life, like reactionary stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really spot on. And like, that's a lot of fun. Where it's just like, nope, just little one-liners. I'm like, okay. I mean, I already like your stuff. You don't need to sell me on it. This is just a bonus.
Yep. Getting to do a little chuckle as you're scrolling through the, doom news. It's not something to be understated, because we all need little chuckles.
Well, and I think that's a big part of it. And this was one other one that I wanted to mention, and I actively follow Last Week Tonight. So therefore John Oliver by proxy. And it's not by any means the only way to get your news, but it was one of those where for the first time in a long time, the topics that he would pick to deep dive on were fascinating, and I wanted to learn more. Well, I was terrified because some of it's like, oh God, this is really bad. But at the same time, I like the way the information was presented. I like how he structures his show, obviously his whole cast and everybody who works on it. But so that was one where I don't really reach out to, like, I don't follow news agencies. I don't follow reporters or people who are doing up-to-date news. But that was one because that was worthwhile in my feed. But I think when I want to go and find information, I know, like when recent events were happening, it was trending on Twitter. So I didn't have to follow anything. I could just go and click trending and get that news there. Where everything else, I can just kind of give myself a break from the doom for a little bit and, look at some art and watch some dance videos.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Dancers and musicians.
Oh, yeah.
Like I love Alfie Boe is a British singer. He's a musical guy. I got to see him as Valjean in Les Mis when I was over there. Like, he is just beautiful, beautiful voice. And like, he posted the other day, he's like, yeah, my daughter told me to try this TikTok thing out, and it's just him singing the Wellerman. And I'm like, this is nice. This is just so nice.
Yep, like there's one lady I follow on Instagram who her main thing is like she just sets up video and it's her just doing little tap ditties, and I'm like, I just like this. This is nice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
it's just
from there,
fun.
I found the girl who tap dances for Postmodern Jukebox sometimes, and I follow her. And like, again, not a celebrity, not someone you'd know, but I was like, but it brings me much joy.
Yeah, and that's where I get most of my value out of follow celebrities. Most of my value is from not celebrities. They're from people who are really talented in their specific field and are well known in that field. And so all of the Broadway people I would call a celebrity. But like I also recognize that they're not famous. They're not universally famous.
Well, and I think
So
that's
those
kind
are
of
the
with where this topic went. And I suspected it, but obviously, we don't talk about the topics beforehand. And I was curious, like, was it going to be some of the people who have millions and millions and millions of followers and are influencers of our time across social media, or was it going to be more catered to our personal interest? And I had a suspicion, but it's kind of funny because I think it was a harder topic to kind of break down because I was like, oh, who is a known celebrity and why do I follow these people?
Yeah. There's something that is from the celebrities with millions of followers. There's something that's too removed for me. Like I made a shocking, surprising, y'all. I made a Ted Lasso tweet and tagged one of the actors from Ted Lasso in it, and he liked the tweet. And that's the kind of engagement that I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm on social media for. I felt so great. I was like, yo, Frank Goldstein liked my tweet. What's up? This Shakespeare scholar I've chatted with on Twitter. That's, these people who I really admire for their talent and skill in their specific area. That's who I want to engage with. And it's hard to, Future Skeleton says, it's true. She looked up international marriages after, though, which was weird. Listen, I'm just saying he is my favorite character on the TV show and wrote for the Catherine Tate show. So that's talent. Anyway, thanks FTH Beyond for rating. What's up? We're talking about Ted Lasso. But yeah, the accounts with millions of followers, I just don't really feel like I feel like they're more they're there to read, not to engage with.
Yes.
Oh, I will say Dionne Warwick, though. Dionne Warwick's Twitter is incredible. She is actively trying to engage with this community, and it's a beautiful thing to get to watch her tweet.
Well, and I know, I think it was Elle Hanley in chat had mentioned it that Chrissy Teigen, and it was very much the same thing. I feel like she's really trying, and I can't imagine what that's like because of millions of people. And
right.
And we'll say even by proxy to the anecdote that you just said, while I wasn't a part of the episode, I got to do artwork for Botched, which just recently had Anthony Rapp on it. And I was like, Anthony Rapp liked my art on a tweet.
Right.
So, yeah.
And sometimes
I've known him, you know him, again, he's been in movies, he's been on Broadway, all of these things. He's on a sitcom show right now, but say Anthony Rapp to my parents, they're like, who?
Say Anthony Rapp to my parents and they cry with excitement. But that's also because my parents went to see Rent in 97 and then took their 3 preteen children to Broadway the next year to see it. So it's a different.
Yeah, my sister flipped for that. She was thrilled. So yeah, but
I'm gonna leave this. Stealth King 500 says, "What about when the Serious Business Network gets millions of followers? Will you still remember us?" No. No. Mike, Anthony, and I will be living on a yacht, not together. We'll be each living on our own yacht. Hero will get his own yacht, and we'll say Stealth King who? Anyway, you know what I love?
What do you love, Steph?
I love I've got I've got I've got a friend who I've worked with on Shakespeare a lot, and in theater. She is basically, you want to talk about a Rhode Island celebrity. Sonia Joyner is that. She is an incredible person to work with. And she is one of the hardest working people in Rhode Island. And she is producing a web series. Unconditional Love was the first season of their web series, and this is a sequel. So they are working on, I think they've just finalized casting for it. They are working on a fundraising drive. So I'm going to put that GoFundMe link in the chat. They are trying to raise money to produce their second season, or their first season of the sequel podcast. But it is a predominantly BIPOC group of producers, writers, actors, developers, everything. And to get that kind of representation on this web series is amazing, on any theater project in general. And she works so hard, and it's a great show. So if you have a minute to check out that trailer on the GoFundMe site, check them out, share it. If you know anyone who might be interested or might have a few extra bucks lying around, give it their way. I am Kruggles, and no, I will not remember any of you when I'm famous, but if you want to get in on the boat early, you can find me at Kruggles on the internet or through my podcasts, Adventure Incorporated, which is a D&D podcast, or Protest Too Much, which is a Shakespeare podcast. We've got Patreons for those and a whole lot of love for all of you. So thank you for listening. Make sure you check out our episode next week, and on the listening. We're going to do the next one right now live. So if you want both of your episodes, bing, bang, boom, join us first and third Monday on twitch.tv/almostdailypod. And make sure you check out the boys on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central on twitch.tv/almostdailypod. Goodbye.
It was so good. It was so good.
I'm so sorry, Stealth King. There's just...
You committed and I liked it. I love it. Yeah, Stealth, I won't remember it, but it's because the brain worms will have gotten to me at that point and I'll have no memory left of anything. So oh God.
So it's funny because I had just been, what the tweet I was talking about, that Brett Goldstein of Ted Lasso liked, is about a strong no in improv. And having that's one of the best things that he does in that show, is like he has so many strong no, just flat out. And it's so funny. And for so long, people in improv were like, you can't say no, it's yes and. Like,
right.
Yes, and that's improv. But like, they didn't understand that a strong no can be a yes and. Like,
yeah.
And it's sometimes really necessary and really freaking funny. And that's one of the things that he does so well. And so it was in my...
No, that was perfect. But I also, again, I think it makes either your scene partner or the people that you're interacting with kind of pivot and react to that, because they're like, hey, I set you up with this crazy thing. And you're just like, no, I don't
accept your reality. And I'm telling you no.
And I'm telling you no. Oh, God, I love it.
Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna take a real quick break, but I'll be back in just a second.
Oh. I also love it, guys, that it's still Tony P's picture. Whenever we put up our camera go away things, it's perfect. So yeah. I feel bad. You guys had great stuff happening in the chat, but we were moving so quickly. I missed some of it, but I've definitely got some other. Oh, yes, KGP4, you said Yardley Smith. Yeah, I love the podcast Small Town Dicks. Not just gonna yell, I love Small Town Dicks to the internet. I love the podcast. I was actually listening to that a little bit today. And I think it's neat with with that one, like, again, because I listen to My Favorite Murder and I listen to Small Town Dicks, they're both very similar content, very different takes on it. And sometimes I want like the gritty reality and the facts and the actual people that Small Town Dicks brings. And then sometimes I just want the insanity of Georgia and Karen because I need a little levity with my murder. So yeah. Well, so one of the other ones I was going to mention is I follow Paul Holes on Twitter because he at the time he was retired, but he was a big proponent of finding the Golden State Killer, and like because of his mention on that whole thing, like he kind of blew up. And so yeah. And yes, I listen to Murder Squad. I like it. He has the voice for podcasting, so I enjoy it. I also like that he's just like, people think I'm sexy. It's weird. My wife seems to be okay with it though. And I'm like, I love it so much. B-Mel, she is staying sexy and not getting murdered. That's the point. Yeah, I can't listen to too much murder right before bed. That's not great. Yeah, no.
Healthy balance of bedtime murder.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, there was one time it was in college, and a lot of time in college, because I would either be animating on the computer or animating on my Lightbox for like 6 to 8 hours. Like I would just put on things in the background, and Law and Order SVU and Criminal Minds, man, baby, they'll do like 3-hour blocks and I'll just get all of it. But there was one, I can't remember, I think there was a CSI episode as well as a Criminal Minds one about somebody who breaks into your house, but they don't break in and do stuff right then. They just live there and watch you. And I was living alone in my apartment in Pittsburgh during this time, and I slept with every light on in the house, all of my closet doors open, the bathroom curtain pulled back. I was just like, that was such a bad idea before bed.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
Yeah. Wow. I will out murder Brad. I like it. Oh, I like it. Okay.
All right. We're still going strong with power, knock on wood.
Yeah. Yeah. So while we've got it, let's do
dig
it.
in.
Okay. All right. I'm going to click it and it's going to work. Where's my thing? There it is. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Hey, you trash pandas. You're listening to In Addition with your adequately perfect hosts, Stephanie Crugnola and Emily Swan.
Hello, Trash Pandas, and welcome back to In Addition, sister podcast of the Almost Daily Pod. Hello. Welcome. Yes, that got a little Mrs. Doubtfire, but that's all right, because I love it. I love it in like concept, not in actuality, because boy, if you start to think about that being actual, it gets not great. But
Yep.
it's just, I just enjoy Robin Williams in the fictional universe that happens in. But yeah, so hey, this leads me into my topic pretty great because so I don't always make great first impressions because I am a nervous creature and my nerves tend to manifest as verbal diarrhea. So if you meet me for the first time, I talk a whole bunch because I don't know what to do and I panic. So yeah, but I would like to bring up again first impressions, and I think this is fun because it is how you feel as yourself presenting and meeting new people for the first time, but also what does a first impression mean to you? Is that your like go-to? Like if that person presents themselves a certain way, is that your read on them forever, or is it just, we'll say the first take? Are they still in rehearsals and haven't gone to actual performance yet? So yeah, I'll throw that out to you, Steph.
Well, this is a hard question. So I've been thinking about this a lot. I feel like so it's hard. most of my college friends and like, you know, for like the while after college, if you asked any of them like what their first impression of me was, it's just that I was a huge bitch and didn't want to be their friend. And I think that's changed in more recent years because I think I've like swung the pendulum the other way, and like people think I want to be their friend and maybe I don't. But I just was over I don't love meeting new people. I get really like overwhelmed with it. I don't like being around people I don't know. Um so Mike says when I met her, she was too cool for school, sitting in a hallway in a leather jacket with her headphones on, ignoring everyone. Now, I have to say, when I first met Mike, he was sitting on a railing outside of the theater building with a bright red mohawk. So like, who's too cool for who? But yeah, I just kind of like gave off this vibe, I guess, because I was like in college, I was just mean to everyone, and they all thought like once they like got to know me, they were like, "Oh, she's just joking about it all the time," which a lot of times I wasn't. And like I don't know how to deal with that. So that's just kind of who I became and who I was. They were like, "Oh, Steph's a huge bitch," and I was like, "Sure, totally am. Suck it."
So this was fascinating to me because this kind of came up as an aside in the Discord. And when you mentioned that, it was so weird to me because it is so far from the impression that I have of you and from working with you. I was like, wait, really? It's like, I don't think I'm missing anything. Like, I'm usually a pretty decent judge of character, but I was like, I was really curious about that because even when I met you at Dragon Con, like, I didn't get those vibes at all.
Dragon Con, I was too overwhelmed to even think about being mean to anyone. I did nothing. Nothing was nice. I hated everything. I had such a fun time at Dragon Con, but like crowds are not my thing. People are not my thing. I think that it shifted for me when I started running my own theater company because like I am the face of this organization and I have to be engaging and welcoming and overly supportive of every single person who walks through that door because I want them to feel part of it. And especially when you're working with something like Shakespeare that people are already nervous and they don't think they have any business being there. But I've been like, no, I promise you're going to do great. Like that whole that whole like group of people, like I have to put that out there. Like that's what I project. And I feel like for social media, like that's still what I project through social media is that element of my personality that is like everyone can do this, everyone is welcome, everyone should be supported entirely. And I'm not saying that's not who I am because I do believe that everyone is capable. Like I fundamentally believe that everyone has a place in these spaces and everyone is better than they think they are. But like it's definitely different from when I was in college.
Yes. And I also think, as we've talked about, depending on what your goal is for social media, you present a different thing. And obviously when I'm streaming on Twitch or when I am teaching, that's a very specific persona. And that person, so previous to the pandemic, I ran open social dance nights. So the plan was you show up, I teach you 30 minutes of dance that you dance as a couple. And then for the next hour and a half, I play music. And it's meant for beginners to experienced dancers. And it's just a fun social dance thing. But because we have people coming in cold and fresh and brand new, like I had to hit them with fun and inclusive right away. So that is a much more elevated version of Emily than my normal self because I need to get them and I need to grab them immediately. And so that person, like, I feel like at the end of the night when I come home and kind of like take my coat off, I also take off that very exaggerated version of myself because I'm not like that all the time. I was like, oh, it's quiet. Okay, now I can just sit and my cheeks hurt from smiling. So
Yeah. And like it's so important to have someone that you share a space with understand that. Like Mike very much understands that element of on versus off. And so, and I've had, people in my life that don't get that because they're just who they are. They're like themselves all the time, which I don't understand. I'm like, how do you do that?
No.
But it's hard to explain to someone who doesn't naturally gravitate towards that like way of like turning on and turning off. So like I feel very lucky that Mike does understand that it is purposeful, and there are goals to be achieved in the way you present yourself. Like it's just part of being an adult, I guess.
Yes. And the big thing is, because we are at this point a bit removed from high school, removed from college, I'm not the same person that I was before. And, the
Thank
hope.
God. That was for me. That wasn't for you. I didn't know you in college. But thank God I'm not the same person.
I was obnoxious in college. Like I was just a little too much all the time. I blame the lack of sleep and too much coffee, but like my hope is that like I get to keep some of the fun parts, which is why people like me, but also maybe again learn from some of those interactions. But it's a weird thing of being very intimidated by public speaking, but having a very, very deep desire to please absolutely everybody and make sure that they all like you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I feel like there's that intensity that comes from behind my eyes where people are like, wow, she's a lot. And I was like, it's fear. It's all fear. And I don't know how to manage it. So I'm just going to smile more. But so growing up, it was just me for a long time. My sister is 10 years younger than me. So I grew up as an only child at a very small, like rural area. So I was very, very close to my parents. So like many kind of homeschool and only child kids, I spoke to adults more than I spoke to other kids. So already I kind of had just a weird way of interacting with people, but this is going to sound so weird. My parents were really nice to me and we had a really nice relationship. And so my understanding of the world was that, oh, everybody's really nice. This is cool. And when I got into middle school, people were not being super nice. They were taking advantage of me. So my father has to pull me aside and be like, okay, you need to not be so nice. I'm like, but why? Why are they doing this? I don't understand. And so like there was a very specific turning point where all of a sudden it was, I'm sorry, Peter. They were really nice. But it meant that all of a sudden I had to start maybe not trusting people as much, which is a bummer. And it's, again, because it was recently Valentine's Day, I was thinking of the scene in The Simpsons where Ralph gives Lisa a card and there's a moment where it's like right there, you can see where his heart broke. And that was what it was for me, where all of a sudden I had that moment of realization that maybe the world wasn't as nice as I thought it was. And I had to start not trusting people like I had before. So there's an evolution from that point of how I meet people, how I present myself. I started hanging out with a different group of people and I started, I ended up having a lot more guy friends at that point because I had the growing up at the firehouse humor, but now I kind of had like a different type of energy around me. So that, again, that was a whole change from the person that you would have met, little tiny elementary school Emily, who was chatty and would talk to everybody, to middle school and high school Emily, who was a little bit more cautious and a little bit more reserved because, there's a chance you might actually hurt me. And I don't like that.
So I think that shift is really interesting because it's so opposite me. I grew up in competition. Competitive figure skating is not a nice place to be. Nobody is kind to anyone. Everyone is cruel, everyone. Like, and I was competing against my sisters. So I didn't even have that element of like support. Everything was a competition. And so transitioning into theater in college, like also a competition.
Not less competition.
So I had built this like huge wall And I prided myself on not having emotions, on being like absolutely unaffected. Like, you can't touch me. Like, you cannot crack through this. Like, you won't get close to me because nobody's nice in this world. And that was just kind of like how I acted and how I was. And then I think that looking at it from when I built my own space for people to come into, like, I didn't want any element of that. I wanted everyone. And so there are a few, like, if I'm really looking back, there are a few like transition years where I started to like, definitely outside was more open and welcoming, and like I wanted to start creating that space, but inside I was still like, but can't touch me. Like, I can be nice to you, but don't you even try. And then that just kind of like, I guess the more you act open and welcoming, the more you are opening yourself up to having those kinds of relationships. And now I'm just like this big, huge baby who cries at everything. And like, I have very many feelings and I'm not ashamed of them anymore. So I feel like I'm almost living like, you know, the first 24 years all at once.
Yeah.
They're all coming out now.
No, that's incredible. And it's, it sounds silly to say, but for as physically tough as I have been throughout my life, I was never emotionally tough. And people, their words hurt me and it got to me. And so it was one of those where I didn't get to the point of moving beyond that until well into my 20s. And I would say even into my 30s, where finally I was just like, don't actually care what you say now. Like, but it's really hard. And it was tough, I think, then, because when we talk about, you know, pressure and competition, as I realized, like, as I got out of school, which I could do really well, and moved into the working world, now I've got to make you like me because I need you to hire me. And so that additional pressure of, I know I can win you over, but I've got to get through this first encounter.
Yeah.
And not build up so much pressure on myself before we get to that first moment, so that I can just be a normal human for 15 minutes for an interview. And then, like, you really will learn to love me. I'm just a lot right at the start.
So I like this comment that KJP threw in there. A great friend once said to me, some people need to treat others the way they want to be treated. You need to treat yourself the way you treat other people. And I think that really ties into the way that we developed, and the way we started to understand that, like, we needed to be kind to ourselves. And like open up to ourselves the same way we were opening up to other people.
Yeah. But it's one of those where I, like you were saying, I envy the people who seemed to move very easily throughout the social situations, whether it was in high school, whether it was in college. And again, I don't know if it was just an act. Some of these people, I genuinely think they just didn't care what other people thought, or it didn't matter enough to them to really affect them. And like, I was jealous of that, because I was like, I actually don't understand. Like, I don't understand the programming. I don't know how you got there. The one thing I will say is I'm very appreciative of certain parts of what I went through. You know, having a really shitty time in middle school, being bullied, being, you know, pushed down a flight of stairs, and not having a great go of it. Because now when I teach my middle school art kids, I was like, no, you're weird and it's going to suck. And you might not give a shit, or at least that's your outward personality. But my hope is that you get to look up at this weird teacher who's standing in front of you and be like, nope, I went through it too. Here's what sucked about middle school for me. And whether you like the way that whether you want to be like me or not, it's at least, I did it. I survived. I made it to the other side being a weird kid. And I'm hoping that you do too, because the world is better with you in it.
And there's so much power to being able to be open and honest with our students about things like that. Like, I never used to like need anyone. I didn't need anyone's help, kind of like you were saying. Like I didn't need teachers to help me in school. I was just good at it. My coaches weren't gonna give a crap about me anyway because I was old and fat. So like I didn't need them. What do I need them for? I don't need to practice, because if you tell me I'm not going to be successful at it anyway, why would I? We need people. Like I know you think you don't, Steph. I know you 14-year-old you don't think you need anyone and you can just like put your head down and barrel through your whole life, but you can't. And it's a lot better when you have mentors that you can trust. And so even just like being able to guide kids to that, like find someone who you can talk to, find someone who you can get through this with. Like it doesn't have to be me.
Yeah.
It just should be someone. Like you are not alone.
Yeah. No, and I think it's, again, like I've said many times, my sister is almost a complete opposite of me. Like she got all the brains. She is so stinking smart. It's ridiculous, but incredibly introverted, incredibly shy. And high school wasn't as much fun for her. Whereas I did everything. Like for all of the smarts, she doesn't want to go out for sports. She doesn't want to be a part of the clubs because she doesn't want to be around the people. And there was one teacher, admin, who saw it. And he's like, hey, you know what you should do? You should go to the library and help them. And she did. And she ended up going back to the high school library to work with the teacher after she had graduated.
That's
but
awesome.
he saw it and he understood it. And he got to see the person that my family knows my sister is, but that nobody else saw, especially at school. And I, again, forever grateful for him for just being like, no, kid, I get you. And I like you. You're weird and I like you. And there was something, this was when Stealth King threw out much earlier, but he said, one of my best friends thought I was a dick, but he met me during the time I was divorcing my ex-wife. And that was a huge part of it, is when did you meet me? Because like we've talked about, there was evolution, there was change, there's been growth. I think, some of the obnoxious characteristics have toned down a little bit. Some of it because I just don't have as much energy anymore. But, that as much as I hate it because it's on like bumper stickers and background pictures on Facebook, but you never know what someone else is going through, like what battles they're fighting. So it's really trying to take a step back and be like, all right, are they actually a dick or are they just having a bad day? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but at least I'm trying to think that maybe I'll say it's the marriage of my youthful optimism and Disney princess, everything is happy and awesome. Very much Rapunzel, like so much Rapunzel. I'm just like, this is the best day ever. With, the reality of the world without losing all of that optimism, being able to be like, no, they could be having a bad day. So I'm giving you one. You get a mulligan unless you do something really terrible. But if you don't improve after that, I don't need more friends. Like, I love meeting people and I love it, but I don't need you. I don't need an acquaintance. I don't need you as a Facebook friend. I don't need you in my life.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think, and a lot of that is, I think that you can tell a lot about what you project based on the types of people that gravitate towards you. And so like, I know when we talk about the people we actively want to be friends with, we'll present ourselves in a different way, but like it's the people who come to you when you're not trying, that I think tells you a lot about their first impressions and who they see in you, rather than, because it's so impossible to really analyze the way other people see you from your own perspective.
Yeah.
But like my main Mike makes fun of me all the time. Like my main gravitational pull is like sad dads. Like dads who are going through divorces, or like just like that sad dad type. Mostly dads who are going through divorces. That's pretty much it. That's my like friend type.
So that's Stealth King, right? Because he was going through a divorce.
Well, so like
sorry, Stealth King.
But that's like, I guess I listen.
Yeah.
but like there are so many people and I love them dearly. And like I want to be there and support them and like their struggles matter to me. And so I guess maybe that's what they see and like they're, they pull towards that. But like I'll be talking to Mike and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, so and so." And he's like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "Sad dad." Like they're just in sad dad category.
Yeah. To be fair, for clarification, Stealth King was not a dad at the time.
Some of them aren't, but they still fall into sad dad categories. I will say you don't have to be a dad to be a sad dad.
So it's funny because I'll say my weird gravitation that I get is random people at grocery stores and like not department stores anymore, but like Target and stuff like that. It's even weirder now because I'm wearing a mask and you can't see my face, because previous till then I have the knee jerk of if you look at me, I'm going to smile because that's what my brain says I need to do, because I'm afraid of predators. I don't know. But I don't...
Show my teeth. Show my teeth.
Yeah. I was on my headphones on a phone call with someone, and the shirt that I was wearing prompted a random worker at Walmart. So this isn't even just a weird Walmart person. This is a worker at Walmart to come over and chat with me. And I'm just like, okay. So it's like resting friendly face where I'm just like, you know what? She wants to talk to you. I was like, I didn't know this, but okay. Like, hi. How can I help you?
Yeah, I definitely don't project any of that. Nobody talks to me. Like nobody approaches me in stores and places. And I definitely have like an aggressive looking face, I think. Because I do not get that ever. Nobody like dares talk to me. It's such like if I have headphones in, people like will walk the other direction. They will cross the street to not.
You gotta teach me how to channel that, because again, like I think I had headphones in looking at like something. I was digging in like office supplies or back to school supplies. And I had a woman in Target come up to me and ask me to like help her find something. And I'm just like,
that's so weird. I'm with Tilted. I can't get shop workers to approach me when I'm waiting for service. That's me too. I'll like stand because I feel bad interrupting people when they're working. So I'll just like stand adjacent to them and kind of look in their direction and wait for them to notice me. And it never had like nobody ever. I'm just so unapproachable.
Oh my gosh. That cracks me up. Yeah. So I will say there was one time, and this is when Toys R Us was still a thing. To factor into, I think part of that is I am not a tall human. I am a very small human. So I think I look, at first glance, look a little bit more childlike than perhaps my age would indicate. But so I'm at Toys R Us and I'm looking for a sales associate and I can't find anybody. And the thing I need is on the top shelf. And because of the setup, I can't just climb up there and get it. So I literally have to walk out into the aisle of Toys R Us and look for somebody, ask a random human who is walking by with his wife and be like, "Excuse me, sir, could you please reach this toy on the top shelf for me? I'm 26 years old. Thank you so much. Bye."
Oh no.
So yeah, it's weird.
It is weird. And it's weird how like those first impressions, and I know like we've talked for most of this about like conversational first impressions, but those kinds of just first glance impressions I think are so fascinating, because what is it about you that people gravitate towards, and what is it about me that people just like walk the other direction from? Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. I don't
Anyone
Again,
out there, hey,
people
listeners
let
in
us know.
chat, analyze our nonverbal presence and let us know why we tell me why people run away from me. But to be fair, like that's the way I want it. And so I think I project that because I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, and I don't know if this is still like deep embedded like conditioning of you need to be nice and you need to be polite, which is obviously not the worst thing, but definitely like, yeah, I don't give off menace.
If you want to talk about menace,
That's so menacing.
Hero says, "What's up?" Hero also says, why are you shooting off fireworks? It's February 15th. It's not a holiday. There's nothing special happening besides snow.
Yeah, it's not fireworks.
My
or anything.
poor dog.
So again, I know he just walked out of the room. Oh, he's back. All right. So shout out Mike. He said meeting people at Dragon Con was different. We were excited to meet other creators and wanted to make a good impression. Absolutely. And it was weird, like walking up to, especially because we were at the Botched House and there's so many different creators there. And I literally know 2 people.
Swan, were you at the Botched House?
I was.
I feel like I'm Tony right now.
Yeah. I met you and Mike and Anthony and the other 2, I think.
Because we talked about art. We talked about how, okay.
Yep. Because that was because I had to give, again, in my brain, I don't think I actually had to do this, but in my brain, I had to justify a reason why I was there. So my justification was I did the artwork for Botch. This is how you know me, and this is why I'm worthy to be in this space. And boy, we can dive into that psychology at a later date.
And we will.
But that actually, it leads into a fantastic interaction I had with an artist in Artist Alley at Comic-Con. And I was coming up, I was looking through his portfolio, and it was incredible. And he was asking, because you get different badges if you're sitting behind a table, if you're just an attendee, all of that. And I was like, oh yeah, but I'm just over there in Artist Alley. And he's like, what do you mean just? Like, you're there. And it was humbling in that moment. And of course, I just wanted to turn into a puddle and die right on the spot. But it was important to me because why did I downplay it? I worked. Right. I mean, you pay for a spot. Like, that's why you're there, and you showed up and you're showing your work. Why did you feel the need to minimize this thing that you're doing? And it changed how I presented myself at shows, that while, I'm not a major published artist, but I have published work. I have a book with an ISBN number. I'm in the Library of Congress. Like, I deserve to be here. I deserve to have space. And it changed. It changed how I presented myself at shows and how I spoke about myself when I did introduce.
Now, that leads me to, I know we're running at the end, but just something I want to leave with is like how you first impressions on paper. Like, I'm doing a PhD application right now and trying to do that. Like, here's why I deserve to be there. Like, how do you present yourself in an application for attending pro or something like that?
So I have 2 sides of it. So what's a beautiful thing for me, and that part of it, is because I get to let my artwork speak for me. Even on my resume has a piece of artwork of myself drawn on it. So before you ever meet me, before you ever talk to me or see me in person, there's a picture of me, and you get a sense of who I am. But I'll say from the side of it that I'm not as comfortable with is trying to develop a written voice that sounds like me. And you want to know what was great for that? Was online dating. Because boy, if you want to run the gauntlet of trying to get people to think you're funny without ever getting like my tone or my inflection or my timing, try just rapid fire, just like Bumble at any event. You're just like, okay.
Oh, I did try that.
I don't want to ever do that again. So
I lasted like a month. The only reason I was on it is because Mike and another one of our friends were also on it, and we would just like text screenshots to each other.
Yeah, but it's a dark place. My favorite though was, again, I would get very, they spent a lot of time on their body. They were well fit gentlemen. Awesome for them.
How many fish have they caught though?
Oh God, so many fish. I wanted to put together an art project of all of the faces of dating apps, with the terrible picture of guys down here and then the other one of them holding fish, but not yet. And then I got off dating apps, but yes, Mike, plenty of fish.
Boo.
We hear you. We see you.
Boo.
But I would think it was funny because in my profile, it mentions art, it mentions comics, it mentions nerdy stuff of many different things. So I was like, all right, I don't know why you're matching with me, but okay. But I would always float out to those gentlemen, especially if it was around like dusk, I'd be like, all right, big guy, sun's getting real low. And that was my test. I was like, here you go. Impress me. See if you're going to, and they'd be like, really? It's not dark here yet. I was like, okay.
Bye. Mike had a coworker who would text people on dating apps at like noon or like 2 p.m. with just "you up," and I think that's the funniest online dating move I've ever. We should do a whole thing about online dating, but I think that just the idea of like writing a cover letter or presenting yourself in a genuine, authentic way without sounding too stuffy, but without sounding too cool,
too casual, because I feel like in a representation that's too casual, it undermines the fact that you really give a shit about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something important to me, again, because I was so nervous about my written voice. I would send it out to people and be like, does it sound like me? Does it sound like, not necessarily, obviously how I talk, but does it represent me in a worded fashion?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's tough.
The eternal question.
Yeah, but not showing love to dating apps, but I do have something else that I want to show love to, because forget the dating apps. But the thing I want to show love to is a couple friends of mine from the Comic-Con group have a Twitch channel and a podcast that they're doing called Slaying Dragons in the AM. You can also find them on YouTube at Slaying Dragons in the Morning, which I think is super fun. And I especially want to shout them out this week because they did something really cool, and they reached out to a bunch of their friends in the creator world and says, hey, why is D&D important to you? And I was like, oh. And then I was like, well, how long do you want? He's like 30 seconds. I was like, okay. I went a minute, but it was a really cool thing. They love D&D. They love art. One of them is a fellow artist with me behind the scenes. One of them's a voice actor. These are people who not only big time nerds, but they're just cool people. So give them some love on Twitch. Go check out their stuff on YouTube. If you look up the episode 6, which they have a guest on, I think it's about an hour or so towards the end of the episode. Nope, I lied. It's at the 50-minute mark. You can see the compilation of everybody who sent in videos talking about why they love D&D, myself included. So yeah, show them some love. They're good guys, and they're doing something fun, and yeah, that's awesome. If you want to see more of me, you can follow me across the internet at a swan named Emily. You can let me know if you think that the tweets that I put out and the Facebook posts that I make sound like me, now that you listen to me and know what I sound like. I think one of my favorite things was I had said something, I swore a whole bunch and then said something really lewd in a personal conversation with Nicole, aka Mayor Squish, and she's like, I didn't know you swore. And I was like, oh, yeah, I swear a whole bunch and have a real dirty mind, but I also teach children for a living, so I have to not always do that. But yeah, if you want to see some of the artwork coming up, you won't get it for the podcast, but for those of you here in chat, on Wednesday, Doodle Crew is having another episode. So that's over on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv. A swan named Emily, Doodle Crew hype. But also we have a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook page. So you can follow that, and we post updates about when we are going live and the cast we have with that. And super exciting thing that does make it in time for this is if you want to see more of Steph and I coming up on the 21st of February, there's another episode of Sketchin' Shakespeare, baby. Yeah. So 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also on my Twitch channel. So really what I'm saying is, if you don't already, go follow my Twitch channel and you get to see a lot of cool stuff there. Not all of it is me. So also show some love to the Almost Daily Discourse boys, because they need it. Because unlike unlike us, they don't always make great first impressions, but they're really good guys. So they are on this same channel, twitch.tv/almostdailypod, every Wednesday. So go show them some love and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.
Oh, man. I feel like my audience shout out tonight, my chatter shout out has to be Stealth King.
Yes.
Because I dunked on him so hard.
It's so good.
So I apologize, Stealth King, and also thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, Stealth. You are a fantastic hype guy. Like you fucking pump us up, and I love it. And yeah, we really appreciate that. I'm gonna shout out Raging Lady Boner because even though we talked about it, we didn't actually shout you out in the show. So, hell yeah! Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. You have the best name. I love it.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. Yeah. So yeah, I think dating apps are gonna be a conversation that comes back around because yeah, there's
Yeah, there was another, as we were talking, there was another topic that came into my mind and now it's gone. So like that's fine. But I think dating apps would be a fun topic to cover. Cause like I didn't spend a ton of time, but like I've written a fair number of profiles for my friends. So I have a lot
I would have known about because I would have taken your help so much with that. Yeah, I didn't get on dating apps until after I came out of a 7-year relationship. So that was weird,
Mm-hmm.
to say the least. But yeah, it's strange. It's a very strange way of communicating with people.
It is. We'll definitely talk about it because I have a similar situation that like I was a late dating app bloomer. Lots of stories. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I'm glad our power held.
Yes.
Because it is out kind of all over Austin. So we got lucky. And I am going to cut this short, y'all, because I don't want to keep sucking up power to this computer when I know that we're trying to ease the electrical grid.
But hey, everybody in chat, because most of you know us and can find us, for real though, send in your stories, either dating app stuff, like hit us up. We've got socials, we've got an email. It's inadditionpod@gmail.com, pretty sure. But let us know because I'd love to have those stories to shout out to you guys when we bring up that stuff. I also remember there was a real dark tunnel that we went down the one week with like things that happened in school and then some like weird relationship stuff. So like, yeah, send us your stories. Because one, I'm curious because I'm nosy and I want to know, but also like it's cool and we like you people and you're awesome and we enjoy you and it's fun to get to know you in a different way. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Have a great night. Hopefully anybody who's with snow, good luck. Anybody without, you suck.
Stay warm. You suck. Bye.
Bye.